Well, greetings to all of you joining us here at the Swedenborgian online community's live Thursday chat. We want you to know, as you're joining us, that you are cared for not only by the divinity within and around you, but the divinity within each of us. And hopefully we can come here together tonight and support each other in loving community. Looks as though we have a few people in the Chatsy chat. How are you all doing this evening? And just as a reminder, Thursday is the time for us to connect for pastoral care with each other, spiritual reflection, and just supporting health in community. If you're joining us on a different day, just know that we want to support those things in you as well. And please join us at Swedenborgiancommunity.org. And no matter what, know that you're cared for and that there is a pluralistic interfaith group out there that cares about you no matter what your creed. My name is Reverend Cory, and I am happy to be the new minister at the Swedenborgian online community. Reverend Wilma has retired, as you most likely know. And we are going through a lot of changes as a group. And it looks as though some of you in our chat are doing well. That's excellent. Is there anything else on our minds this evening? Anything about perhaps our Sunday service, which was focused on spiritual reflection and growth? Although, you know, I've noticed in my short time with you all that you have the wisdom that this community needs. So please share any reflections that you have tonight or from this last week. And as we start on this new journey together, I just wanted to kind of touch base on some of the changes that have happened besides the obvious one. The website is going through a number of reflective journeys of just little updates here and there as I get to know it and look through all our wonderful content there. Wonderful discussion boards, and the Chatsy is now embedded, so if you ever click on discuss, you can also just get to the Chatsy that way. And just a lot of different little things, so check it out when you have the chance and let me know what you think. And as we get settled tonight in community, let us play a little music for our reflective community engagement.
1, 2. When I try to rely on my own resources, if I don't watch every word I say, I'll be making apologies night and day. And so I try to relax, I hold my horses, and I spun love to follow through. You know I got to give it all up to you, and so I'm giving it up. Till you got, I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up. Till you got, I'm giving it up to you. It's easy to be hateful in a world of plenty. No matter how many things we get, you know there's always something looking better yet. We gotta learn to be grateful, walk a little more gently, and ask for love to follow through. You know we got to give it all up to you, and so I'm giving it up. Till you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up. To you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I don't always have the answers. I don't always know the right thing to say. Or when the one side here and another side, miscommunication's getting in the way. But when I step back from the picture and I ask for help from you, I know that sooner or later, greater and greater, love is gonna speak the truth. I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. Giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. Giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. When I try to rely on my own resources, if I don't watch every word I say, I'll be making apologies night and day. And so I try to rely. I hold my horses and ask for love to follow through. You know I got to give it up to you. So I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. Giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. Giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you. I'm giving it up to you, God. I'm giving it up to you.
Wow, what a beautiful, upbeat song by Lori Turley, wonderful musician and just a wonderful person all around. One of the members of our Swedenborgian denomination. And if you are listening and curious about what Swedenborgianism is, I should say that Swedenborgianism is, at least in my opinion, if you ask any other Swedenborgian, will give you a different definition, as I'm sure you can imagine. But Swedenborgianism is, for me, a mystical Christianity. Kind of like Lutherans, we base our theology off of a theologian named Emanuel Swedenborg. And he was a mystic from the 18th century, wrote a number of books you can find for free, actually, if you click on explore at swedenborgiancommunity.org. And, you know, he didn't start a church himself, but he inspired one. And it's nice that we can get together, the few of us who have been inspired, and connect and know that we're loved in community. Now, a key aspect of his spirituality was that it was interfaith. Not that he wasn't a Christian, according to him and his beliefs, but that he thought that we could all connect to divinity through our own religion and our own path, as long as that divinity was a loving, good one that connected with our hearts and motivations, then it didn't really matter what we called her. So, if you feel like you may be interested in a community like that, please continue to join us and maybe catch us live on a Thursday or a Sunday evening. So, how are we doing in the community chat? Well, it looks like things are pretty warm all over. Albert appreciated the song. He says he is reading Creative Intelligence, Harnessing the Power to Create, Connect, and Inspire by Bruce Nussbaum, I believe. Actually, that sounds really good. Creative intelligence. You know, that actually, interestingly enough, is a good segue into something I wanted to just try with you all, if you'll bear with me. And that is to kind of bring together a reflective spiritual practice and kind of that idea of creativeness that Albert is mentioning in that book title by Bruce Nussbaum. And that is, I want to play a song, and I want to, for each of us, if we're willing, you know, or perhaps not, to do a little spiritual practice during it. And sorry for you, the listener, but you will hear my spiritual practice. So, and I recommend that you call in and join with me if you're daring enough. But one thing I like to do as a reflective meditative practice is to sing, to make noise. And I really love it when I can make music in community. In a way, you can do that with a recording, but we have community here. And so if you're willing to make a joyful noise or a sound or dance in any way during this, I'd recommend it. So this can also be done with a number of other practices. And really, the reason I bring it up is, for me, listening to myself, reflecting on a practice that I find connects me to God, is a good way for me to enter an easy meditation, one that helps to bring peace to my spirit, and for me to actually improve on whatever it is. So it's something you can also do with work or what have you. So if I can find the right song, I believe you might like this one. I'm sorry if you don't like my sounds with it. Join with me. One thing I like to remember when I'm Well, I hope you could hear that. I'm not sure. This is kind of an experiment. Um, and wonderful. I hope you got something from that reflective music. Albert is sharing that often in radio it can be tough to hear someone talking during a song. Let me know if that's true for you in the chat sea or otherwise. And I'm curious, is there anything else that is on your mind tonight? Doesn't have to be specific to a topic, of course. I've been really inspired by some of you all sharing the blessings in your life lately with healing and supportive physical trainers or physical PTs, right? Yeah. And that's really beautiful. You know, it's really nice when we are blessed in the broader community in our lives. You know, it can be really tough recovering from surgery or loss and tragedy. And those blessings can go a long way. Knowing that we're cared for by each other and, of course, the one within each of us that truly gives us substance, God. William was mentioning that there was a big thunderstorm where he was recently. Yeah, it's been raining quite a bit here, too, which is nice. You know, having come from Berkeley, there wasn't much rain at all. Hardly any. So it's really cool to get the thunderstorms and, you know, the downpours. I don't know how did it strike you? You're probably more used to the rain. Thankfully, I'm here visiting my partner Alyssa's family, and we have, you know, a lot of dogs between all of us, and thankfully they don't freak out with the thunderstorms. They're pretty good, and the chickens are good too. I figure they usually are, but it's kind of cool to have some chickens around. I did not grow up with anything like that. Do you all have any pets or other animals around your houses, if you'd like to share in the chat feed? I'm also curious if they have names. I have a dog named Ghost and a cat named Shiva. Albert's mentioning that, did we know that down south some people stop everything during thunderstorms and just pray and meditate? Oh, wow. Dinner is stopped. Everything. That's really cool. Maybe that's a sign that we just take a silent part of a moment here to reconnect with the prayer within. So, as you know, this is our Thursday reflection and chat. I've been adding reflection on there just because kind of opens the idea for me a little bit around us coming together. But really, I want to hear what's going on with you all. And if you happen to listen to this, and it's not during our live Thursday chat, head over to our discussion boards and just share what's going on. You know, we want to make that a livelier space going forward, and be cool to have your thoughts as they strike you. So if you come across something cool during the week, post it and we can riff off of it. I think that would be a lot of fun. And also, you know, if you have a reflective practice that you do, whatever you call it, spiritual practice, a hobby, and you want to share a little bit of it, please do. It can be in the form of images, description, video, audio. Just send us an email and head over to our site, or you know, connect with us during our chats or on the discussion forums, and we'll be sure to get that from you. Of course, you can share a lot of that already just in the discussions themselves. And this is also a time of community reflection as a whole. And so, there's a lot of things in our lives that can really, we can really want to tackle on our own. And in a way, that's what we always do. It's, everything in our heads is in our heads, even in sight. But, the source of that life, at least I believe, is divine. It is the infinite. In fact, the personality of God, the personhood and God's essence and quality are really important in a lot of Swedenborgian circles, for Swedenborg himself, for me, and perhaps for you. God is a personality that cares deeply about you. And if you have a thought on that, please share. But also God cares about us as a whole, how we're relating, if we're being healthy as a whole. Like a person, we can suffer from injury as a country. In fact, there's a lot of lingering injuries in the U.S., as I'm sure is true in other countries as well. If you happen to be in one of those or related to one. We can share those things. So I'm not afraid to touch on politics. I try not to push people's buttons when it's not helpful, but often that's exactly what is helpful. Really, I think if we were to look at things outside of a certain category or political group or religious affiliation, yada, yada, and really look at things for their merits and how they support the love and goodness within each other, I think we could go a long way. Albert just shared that he went to lunch after church with several in our local Lincoln, Nebraska Unitarian Universalist Church community. Awesome. The Unitarian Universalists are wonderful people as a whole, to the highest extent you can say that. I showed off the slideshow, he says, of photos taken during my annual Swedenborgian convention trip in San Jose, California. And they said that I might want to share, sorry, a little pop-up got in the way. I might want to share about Swedenborgianism from the podium someday. Ah, yes. That would be really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Award is supporting you in that as well, as I'm sure we all are. That's cool. Was it you, Ward? Perhaps it was William, who was also sharing some opportunities around, sharing his Swedenborgian ideas. I think that would be really cool. Paige recently, although she's not in our chat this evening, she shared a number of things around healthy community engagement in our discussion forums, actually. And if you get a chance, I recommend looking at that, sharing your perspective. In fact, she shared a number of ideas or promises that a community can make to be more mindfully healthy and supportive of each other. And I think that's really cool. And those ideas are really wonderful. And I would read it to you if I can get to it. But really, what I want is for you to maybe take a little note before you hear anything from me about what you think a healthy community should be like. She shares our 7 promises, and I'll just read the first couple. Let us listen actively and speak and act respectfully to others. For we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Let us treat others as we would like to be treated. For we desire justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And dare I say, our relations with the natural realm as well. And then let us respect individual religious paths, for we believe in accepting one another and encouraging spiritual growth. Oh, it's really, they're all really great. Thank you, Paige, for that. And really, that last one, I think, hits home in this community, because the Swedenborgian online community strives to be an inclusive community, one that supports the diversity in each other. Manuel Swedenborg talks quite a bit about it's the diversity of heaven that helps make it perfect. And I think we see that sentiment throughout Scripture in a way. You know, Scripture is about these stories of family and how things can go wrong and people can take all their different paths, and that God is with us throughout that, calling to us in our foibles and especially our harmful habits, and requesting that we listen to the Spirit of Divinity within and around us. And not only do that, but to accept the blessing of godly strength, of the goddess's wonderful wisdom and good intention. And that will make us a blessing. As Jehovah commanded Abraham, we ought to be both a blessing and to be blessed. Albert also has shared that we should share more of our brochures, and that he will be sharing one of or a set of those brochures at that presentation. That is awesome, Albert. That reminded me that, you know, we should have that brochure at the ready on the website. It's a nice thing to just be able to download and share. So thank you for bringing that up, Albert. And what a great idea to share that. That's great. You all are always amazing me with your connection and ideas. And I thank you for your patience with me as I get used to this new job. You might be curious as to how this job is impacting me. I'm curious at how yours is impacting you. Please share. For me, this has been quite an amazing, fascinating journey. Getting to know this community and looking at our website, Swedenborgiancommunity.org. And, Val has been an amazing help, Valerie Brugler, Val as she goes by. And, it's been really great just getting to know the community over time, actually, in a way. There's a lot on our website from past years, past services. You can find a lot of those past services if you click on worship on our homepage at Swedenborgiancommunity.org, if I can say it one more time. And it's just a lot of awesome stuff. I mean, Reverend Wilma was just an amazing blessing over the last 10 years, and you all as well. In fact, the whole denomination has been sharing their worship, their sermons, their music, their art in all their different forms. And a lot of that you can find throughout our site. So just get lost. We're sorry for the clunkiness of any website if you get too deep, if it's deep. But there's some really amazing stuff there. And there's some amazing stuff in each of you, and I really appreciate you continuing to connect with us. And I wanted to share another musical meditation while we continue our chats, and I'll focus a little bit more there again in a second during the music. But you know, if you have an idea for an active practice, whatever it is, if it's available to you now, why not try it out? Just take a moment, a moment or two, and just do it. Especially if it's something that you've been thinking about doing or promised you'd get started. It could be journaling. Who knows? Just take a moment, and whatever you have available, try it. Just try it out as we listen to this song by Ken Turley. And, I might make some more sounds. Who knows? Maybe I'll try something new too.
Thank you.
as pretty for you as it was for me. And we have a caller. Hello.
This is Paige. I'm calling in because I can't get Blog Talk Radio on my phone in the car. So I'm just here to listen to listen to you and the music, not to talk because I'm heading home.
Okay. Well, good to hear you, Paige, and I'll go ahead and mute you. Hope you're well.
Okay. Okie dokie. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, it's so nice to have Paige here with us as well. I am sure that, it looks like she was unfortunately dropped. I hope she calls back in. Oh, there she is. Real good. As I was saying, it's nice to have Paige here with us too, and I'm sure everyone in the chats is wishing you well and sending their love, Paige. We are talking a little bit about gardening in the Chatsy chat room right now. It's quite awesome. William mentioned that he pulled 5 big cukes out of his patch today, which are cucumbers. You know, I didn't know what that was at first. I have to ask, but when I say it out loud, it's much more obvious. That's awesome, William. He says it depends on how many mosquitoes are biting, whether or not it's a meditative practice. That makes sense. I guess it either becomes not meditative at all, which I think would be true for me, or you become super meditative. That's great. Yeah, there's a number of green thumbs, and I know William especially. It's quite the gardener. Albert mentions that Swedenborg associated gardens with intelligence. Yeah, that's true. As you're relating, one of the beautiful things about Swedenborg's theological writings was he loved to connect spirituality and nature, spirituality and the world around us, and also our own internal lives with nature. That, kind of as they say in quantum physics or physics nowadays, around us being a hologram of the universe and vice versa in terms of all the bigger structures in this universe, that we actually relate to nature partly because our inner spiritual landscape can be correspondentially described in natural terms in the world around us. In fact, in his visions of the spiritual world, and maybe this will make more sense of what I just said, he saw people's spirits in environments that correspond generally to their internal nature and what's going on with them. And that they love environments that correspond to their inner nature, and that, in fact, our bodies in the spiritual realm correspond to some degree to our inner nature. Not to be nerdy, but there's a video game I used to love to play where, the better actions that you took, the more kind of actually angelic the character became. And then the more destructive, harmful actions that you took in this game, the more demonic the character's actual body became. And that's actually really close to what Swedenborg described in the spiritual realm, and that also relates to the environment around us and the people that we relate to in that realm. But it's not exactly everything we do, but actually the state of our hearts, and that those things are deeply connected, of course. Albert says he got into extreme gardening. You could say he spent 3 to 6 months a year for 5 years helping couples that are friends in Arizona develop a desert gardening institute on their 2.5 acres, and he learned a lot. Yeah, that's right. I was on that website. It's great. Thank you, Albert, for sharing that. Desert gardening. It's really fascinating. Well, I'm fascinated by gardening in general. I haven't had much of a chance to do a lot of it, although I was part of a member actually of the garden church in San Pedro for a while. Check out the garden church. They are an amazing Swedenborgian group near LA. That's really cool, Albert. And he says on another topic, or maybe not, he hears that the Japanese would answer the question, what is your philosophy of life? Not with words, but by showing their garden. That sounds right on to me. No, gardening, as just like my musical practice that I was sharing earlier, is a practice of reflective meditation and growth. I think those are the types of things that we should support in each other. I've seen this quote a few places. When I saw it, it was said that Gandhi said it, but I've also seen it other places attributed to others. But in this rendition, someone comes up to Gandhi and says, I hear you meditate 3 hours a day. How do you spend 3 hours a day meditating? You're such a busy person. You're such a busy leader. How do you do it? I could never find the time. And you may know where this is going. Gandhi responded, well, if I couldn't meditate for 3 hours a day, then I ought to meditate more to find the time. Something like that. I think you get it, I hope. Yeah, spiritual meditative practices are really important, and honestly, I don't do enough of it. So thank you for joining in with me earlier. I hope that was awesome for you too, that you tried either the singing or the noise making that you heard from me during that song, or something else. As Psalm 96 says, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Sing to the Lady, praise her name. Proclaim their salvation day after day. Amen. And I should mention, because I know you all have heard, different gender expressions, and I know some of you use them as well around divinity. In my spirituality and for Swedenborg, God is gender inclusive. God is the divine human one. That it actually is inclusive of the expressions of God in all nature, and in aliens even. Swedenborg purportedly saw aliens in the spiritual world. And God is in them, and they are in God. No matter how feminine or masculine they become or are or are not, if they allow God within or allow themselves to live with good intentions and motivations, they are part of God, and God is inclusive of infinite expressions of humanity and goodness. And the all of heaven is heaven because of that diversity and because of God's qualities in all those different ways and expressions. And as Albert and our friend Greg were chatting about a week or so ago, Swedenborg used the word creatress in some of his writing. Although he, like many theologians of the past and the Bible often, use masculine nouns, pronouns, etc., pronouns in their expressions of divinity and generalities around human nature, they often will express how God is beyond just that idea. And Swedenborg made it quite clear in his theological writings. The Bible, actually, in the original Hebrew, is actually more inclusive than we would ever know in our English rendition. Of course, that inclusivity of God touches on all races as well, all ages. In fact, no matter how young or old you think you might be, you are quite young compared to divinity and compared to what you will become. So remember that. Albert also is mentioning that there was a creativity workshop at the annual convention led by a watercolor art therapist, Swedenborgian. Yes, the convention has quite the eclectic mix of things going on, and I did not make it to that watercolor art therapist, but that sounds awesome. Albert, if you come up with any other details around it, let us know. In fact, if I know who you're talking about, I think I met that person via the Swedenborgian Church in San Francisco. She often does workshops there. That is really great. In fact, there were these beautiful art pieces shared by another member of our community, Ellie Schnarr, during the convention this year. They were paintings of Swedenborg with rainbow colors around him. And although we do not worship Swedenborg in any shape or form, I would hope, it's nice to have people that are mentors and inspire us in images. That's why Facebook is so great, I think, and other different avenues. So what else is going on with you all there in the chat scene? Mosquitoes. My dad, I don't know if it's because he spends so much time out in the woods, maybe, but he doesn't get mosquito bites at all. Like, literally, you could watch his arm and see like 15 mosquitoes laying on him, and he would not have mosquito bites. It's crazy. If only. I guess gardening could be purely meditative in that light for him, besides, the other things we can run into. Actually, gardening is such a beautiful metaphor for spiritual reflection and growth. We touched on this earlier. I think I got into a rabbit hole around Swedenborg's mystical visions. But it is so true that a garden can represent our inner growth and development. That we, through reflective meditation and community practices, can give fruit to each other and in our own lives. In fact, Jesus had quite the number of gardening metaphors in his divine stories and teaching around, looking at the fruit of a person to know their spirit and their state. I think that is right on. And fruit, it can be a thing to try to discern from a person, from ourselves especially. Often it can look quite appetizing and perfect, and if it serves people, then that's wonderful. But I think especially when it comes to ourselves, reflecting on the source of that fruit, what is really at the core, and what are we really trying to reproduce in the world, is of utmost importance. A lot of times our hearts can be oriented towards destructive loves. It's something I grapple with. Swedenborg writes about grappling with those types of things in his journal. In fact, it is a Swedenborgian idea, and it may be an idea of other groups as well, that Jesus Christ, as the divine incarnation, went through unending, or not unending, but infinite temptation. In a way, unending, but the Lord can overcome all. That God divined his self, herself, through overcoming infinite temptation and growing through that process, and accepting just goodness for what it is when it comes, for being easy on himself when it was really helpful, and for accepting the strength of the Father, of the love deep within, in his incarnation as divine truth. That's how Swedenborg viewed it, and it makes quite a lot of sense to me. Alyssa just stepped in for a second. She says, hello. You're just getting back from a spiritual practice of your own. What was it? From Zumba. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's fun. I hope you have some spiritual practices, whether you call them that or not, that are speaking to you. And we are coming down to the last few minutes of our broadcast this evening. I should mention another change. If you're watching this on YouTube, you already know. But we are starting to upload some of our audio broadcasts into our YouTube channel with some images. Just like Blog Talk Radio, it's out there for people to hear. So it's always good to remember that. And we are here to support you, the listener, however we can. I hope you feel the same. Reconnect with us however you connect with us. And as I was saying, we are coming into YouTube presence with our weekly Thursday and Sunday conversations and services. Sunday we have a evening service that's live that connects spiritual practice, different theological ideas, and the worship for that day, or multimedia worship posted in the morning. And you can find that at swedenborgiancommunity.org. And we are about to sign off. And I think this evening, because musical meditation is our theme, I think I might play one more song. And this time I will make a joyful noise as I continue to connect with those in the chat feed. I hope you will join in movements, stretching, what have you. Sound, please, while this song is playing. And let's just do a random one through one of our Swedenborgian musicians.
1, 2. When I try to reside on my own.
Just not that one.
Today
and be a blessing. Accept the blessings that the Lord is inundating you with, within and without, and support those around you with that strength in ecumenical, pluralistic love. Learn something this week and share it with us next week if you want. Please join us again this time next week to connect with community. Our conversations are had at chatseed.com/Swedenborg. So head over there if you want to have a live chat. If you click discuss on our homepage, you can get to that and our discussion boards. Please share your thoughts. If you disagree with something I say or just want to talk, come on and share. That would be awesome. You can always call in and have your voice heard directly. We really care about you. We want to support you where you're at and where you're coming from, just not all the destructive things that we each grapple with. Love you. Bye.